Hello, this is McD the Beast, and this is McD Sports 4 coming to you today with my Pac-12 football predictions for the 2021 college football season. Before I continue, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. Greatly appreciate if you do that. Really trying to go to the YouTube channel. We have a subscriber goal of 500 by the end of the year, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you're new, you will not regret it. The Pac-12, say what you want about them. I think you're gonna get some good football out of the Pac-12. I don't think you're gonna get a national champion out of the Pac-12. I don't even know if you're going to get a playoff team out of the Pac-12, but I think you're going to get some good football out of the Pac-12, some good, hard, competitive football out of the Pac-12. So let's get into it. I'll go team by team. We'll start off at the North. And first place in the North, I have Washington winning the Pac-12 North, going 10-2, 8-1 in the conference. I do have them losing that non-conference game to Michigan on the road, and I have them going 8-1 in the not in the Big Ten, in the Pac-12. I look at this team. They bring back 10 stars offensively from a team last year that went 3-1. That I actually think maybe even struggled a little bit offensively at times. Um, they bring back 10 offensive starters, 8 on the defensive end. To me, this is a very veteran team that right here, especially on defense, that brings back 8 stars. This is a very veteran team. I think Washington goes 10-2, 8-1 in the Pac-12. Second place in the Pac-12 North. If you hear drips in the background, it just started raining. That's unfortunate that I started doing that. But if second place in the Pac-12 North, Oregon. I'm gonna be honest with you. I like this Oregon team everywhere except quarterback. I think quarterback is a big question for Oregon. I know it sounds like Anthony Brown is gonna be the starting quarterback. I mean, I think he's just average at best. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I look at the schedule. I think they go 7-2 in the Pac-12. Of course, losing to Washington. I do think they lose to Washington. The other game I think they lose is that road game against Utah. There in the Pac-12. So both road games there, I think they go ahead and lose those. That Ohio State game on the road in week 2, I think they lose as well, and would not surprise me. The more I look at that game, the more I think Ohio State might beat Oregon by 2-3 touchdowns. I think in the in the Big Ten video, I originally said about a 10-point victory. I'm kind of thinking maybe a little more towards 2-3 touchdowns now in that matchup, in that big non-conference matchup in week 2. And by the way, we already did the Big Ten football predictions and all the other Power 5 football predictions besides the Pac-12, which we're doing right now. So go check those out on the McD Sports 4 YouTube channel. But I'm just not sold on the quarterback position. I think this team's the most talented in the Pac-12. I think Mario Cristobal is a very good head coach. At the end of the day, though, I just don't think that I'm just not sold on the quarterback position. I'm just not, and I think that's gonna cost them. So 9-3, 7-2 in the Pac-12 there, and I have them finishing second in the Pac-12 North. Third place in the Pac-12 North. I have Stanford. Now you might look at that record and be like 4-8. Are you kidding me? All 4 of the wins are going to be in the Pac-12, in my opinion. The way the schedule lines up and everything, I think they finished third in the Pac-12, despite only going 4-8. Their non-conference schedule is difficult. Kansas State at the neutral site game in Arlington. I know you guys are a favorite right now in that Texas kickoff game. I think you lose that game. I have a sneaky suspicion you're going to lose on the road against Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt's a little bit better than what some people think, even though if you watch my SEC football prediction video, the record might not say that. I do think that team's a little bit better than what some people think. And then you look at Notre Dame. I think you guys do drop that game at the end of the season. So I think you go 0-3 in the non-conference, but you go 4-5 in the conference. I think you guys could pull off some upsets. I have you guys penciled down on being Washington, actually, the team I have winning the Pac-12 North. I think Washington's lone loss is actually going to be to you guys. So overall, they bring back 6 offensively, 8 defensively. They kind of had a little bit of a surprise season, going 4-2. I don't know necessarily if that was just a fluke. I'm gonna say not really, but this schedule is difficult. the only way Stanford's going to make a bowl game is if they get lucky in maybe a conference game or two, and they're going to be favoring 2 out of 3 non-conference games. I meant non-conference games. I mean, they're going to be favoring 2 out of the 3 non-conference games. But I actually think they dropped them both. If they can win maybe one of those at minimum and try find a way to win at least 4 or 5 games in the Pac-12, they can make a bowl game. But I just don't see it. I think they'll be very good in Pac-12 play. I think they'll be very competitive in Pac-12 play. But 4 and 5, third place finish in the Pac-12 North. Fourth place in the Pac-12 North is Cal. Cal's a team that, in my opinion, is a very, I would say, veteran team. 9 offensive starters returning. You have 8 on defense returning as well. Um, you look at Cal, Justin Wilcox. In my opinion, he is on the hot seat. Uh, I think he does have to get to a bowl game. So in my scenario, they don't get to a bowl game. I think he's out. I mean, they fired Sonny Dykes from like going 5-7 basically, and with back-to-back years. So you look at Justin Wilcox. I think he has to get to a bowl game. Last season, 1-3. I know uh, their whole situation was basically not good. Let's just say that with how the whole COVID situation there and how they dealt with that. But they did end the season on a high note, being Oregon. Look at the non-conference schedule. I do think they go ahead and go 1-2 in the non-conference. Once again, this is a tricky non-conference schedule. They'll beat Sacramento State. I think you lose that game on the road against TCU. And I think Nevada goes in there and beats you week 1. They have an NFL quarterback in Carson Strong. I think they go ahead and beat you guys there in week 1. You look at Pac-12 play. I think Stanford beats you for the tiebreaker for third place. But I do think you find a way to at least go 4-5 in the Pac-12. I mean, you get Colorado and Oregon State both at home in back-to-back games. I think you'll win both of those. You get Washington State at home, and what's your fourth game? Oh yeah, at Arizona. I think go on the road and beat Arizona. But overall, I look at Cal. I just don't know if they can really. I mean, I think they'll compete with the better teams in the Pac-12. I don't know if they could consistently beat the better teams in the Pac-12. The way the schedule lines up, the tough non-conference schedule, I think they miss a bowl game. 5-7, 4-5 in the Pac-12. Fifth place, Washington State. This is a team, in my opinion, they bring back 8 offensively. They do bring back 10 defensively. I'm just going to be honest with you. Outside of maybe that Oregon game when they lost 43-29, I didn't really watch this team that much. Um, you look at this team. I mean, they do bring back a lot on both sides of the ball. They bring back 18 starters. I do like your guys' head coach, Nick Wowovic. I do think he is a good head coach. But I look at how the Pac-12 schedule lines up. I mean, USC at home, you're an underdog in that. At Utah, at Cal, you're dogs in that game. I look at Oregon State and Stanford. You should be able to win both of those games. I actually have you guys splitting those 2 games. I think you guys go ahead and lose to Stanford in that split. BYU at home, that's a non-conference game. I do think you guys go undefeated in the non-conference. But to me, your season's going to depend on what you do against Oregon State, Stanford, and BYU in that 3-game home stretch in October. If you guys go 3-0 in that stretch, I think you guys make a bowl game. Anything less, I don't think you can make a bowl game. Unfortunately, I think you go 2-1 in that stretch, and I just don't think you make a bowl game. I think you got to go 3-0 in that stretch to make a bowl game. Um, Another Pac-12 win besides Oregon State is Arizona at home in November. But overall, I mean, the draw you get out of the Pac-12 South is Utah, USC, and Arizona State, the 3 best teams in the Pac-12 South, in my opinion. More on that in a second, but or at least project the top 3 teams. So I just think the way the schedule lines up, I think it might be a bit of a tricky season. I do think that bringing Jared Grantano, I don't think he's that good, honestly. Maybe it's just because of how things went at Tennessee. Maybe he needs a fresh start there, but hopefully he does better than what he did at Tennessee. Because if he plays like he did at Tennessee, there's no way. I don't see this team really making a bowl game. But I don't think they make a bowl game. 5-7, 2-7 in the Pac-12. And then last place, Oregon State. I know people. You look at Oregon State. I mean, yeah, they bring back 19 starters. They finally look like they took a step in the right direction, being Oregon, 41-38. I think that was a fluke there. I know people are high on Jonathan Smith, the head coach there. I just look at this team. I look at his schedule. I just think it's difficult. I mean, the non-conference schedule. I think you guys go ahead and get 2-1. And I do think you lose that week one game on the road against Purdue. I do think you're in a bunch of these ball games, but I mean, you look at Oregon State. Once again, the draw you guys get out of the Pac-12 South is the same as Washington State, USC, Utah, and Arizona State. Those are the projected three top teams in the Pac-12 South. Now, granted, you do get two of them you do get two of them at home, but even then, you guys are probably going to be double-digit dogs against all three of those teams. You're going to be a double-digit dog against Oregon. You're going to be a double-digit dog against Washington. So those are 5 games right there that I think you're going to be double-digit dogs, and I think you lose all 5 of those. The one game in the one game in the Pac-12, I think you guys do win is against Stanford in November, but I think it's going to be a rough year for Oregon State. I'm not really sold on really anything with this team. I think this team, talent-wise, might be the worst in the Pac-12, honestly. And I know it's tough at Oregon State, especially with the way Oregon's trending in that state. But I mean, I look at the schedule. I look at every schedule several times, and I kept on coming to 3-9, 1-8 in the Pac-12 for Oregon State. So, unfortunately, that's what I have for Oregon State. And I have them finishing last in the Pac-12 North, going 3-9 and 1-8 in the Pac-12. Now in the Pac-12 South, Pac-12 South, in my opinion, I think is kind of wide open. Some people argue it's a 4-team race. I personally think it's really only a 3-team race. We'll kick it off with the team I have in first place in the Pac-12 South. I have Southern Cal winning the Pac-12 South, going 10-2, 8-1 in the conference. I do think they lose that Notre Dame game on the road in the non-conference, but I think they go 8-1 in the conference. The one game I do think you guys will drop in the conference is that Arizona State game on the road. I look at USC. They bring back 8 on each side of the ball. Keydon Slovis, I think that guy's going to be playing on Sundays. I think he will go ahead and have a really good year. I know, like kind of last year, USC. It seems like Southern Cal. They just survived every game. It seems like. I mean, I look at the Arizona State game. You guys came back from Arizona. You guys did do really well against Utah and Washington State, but then UCLA that you kind of had to survive that game, and then you lost in the Pac-12 championship to Oregon. Um, I mean, I just think this team's really good. I do. I think they should be the favorites to win the Pac-12 South. I have them winning the Pac-12 South. Look at the non-conference schedule. Yeah, I do have you guys losing on the road to Notre Dame, but I think you'd be a San Jose State team that I think is going to be pretty good this year in the Mountain West. They won the Mountain West last year, and I think you beat BYU to end your season. Um, there. And as I said, 8-1 in the Pac-12 with that loss on the road against Arizona State. I think this is gonna be a good year for USC. I think Clay Helton. I know he's on the hot seat. Seems like every year. This year he's gonna prove that he's the right coach for Southern Cal. And I think maybe you'll see those hot seat talks tamper off a little bit. So I got USC going 10-2, 8-1 in the Pac-12 South, and I have them winning Pac-12 South. Second place, Utah. I also have Utah going 10-2, 8-1 in the Pac-12 South, with their one loss being against Southern Cal. I think it's pretty close against Southern Cal and Utah. But at the end, I picked Southern Cal primarily because that game is at home for Southern Cal. You go ahead and look at Utah. They bring back 10 offensive starters, 9 defensive starters. The one thing about Utah is that the one starter position that they do not bring back is Charlie Brewer. They're at quarterback. If you don't remember him, he was the former Baylor quarterback back in 2019 that led that team to 11 wins. I do believe in him. The only question is injuries with him because he does seem to get concussions. It seems like every season. It seems like so. You hope that that injury bug doesn't come along if you're Utah. The non-conference schedule once again. I think you go 2-1 in the non-conference schedule. I do think BYU gets you guys this year. I know it seems like BYU in that Utah game. It seems like Utah always survives that game. I do think with that game improve over Utah, I do think with BYU being the home team, I think they get you guys this year. But you look at Utah, 8-1 in the Pac-12 with that one loss being against USC. I do think to beat Oregon late in the season. Uh, I mean, I look at Utah. I'm pretty high on this team. I think they're going to be pretty good. I think they're going to be right there at the end of the season, competing for the Pac-12 South. But unfortunately, with the tiebreaker, Southern Cal gets that first place bid for the Pac-12 South. But I have Utah also going 10-2, 8-1 in the Pac-12 South. Third place, Arizona State. Um, I'll talk about the scandals here real quick. So if you haven't heard, basically with Arizona State, they had recruits on campus during this whole COVID thing when it was against the Wolves, I guess. I mean, my reaction to it is, who cares? But you know, you basically know like the NCAA, you know how they are and all that. I do think this affects this team a little bit. I still think this team's pretty good. They bring back all 11 defensively, 9 offensively. Jaden Daniels, one of the best quarterbacks in the Pac-12. Definitely a quarterback that has the potential to play on Sundays. Uh, this team I think goes 2-1 in the non-conference. Once again, BYU. I think BYU is going to pick off some of these Pac-12 teams this year. It looks like some of the better ones at least, with them going ahead and beating Utah and Arizona State. I have them losing to Utah, Arizona State. I have not. Excuse me. I have Arizona State losing to BYU. And I also have them losing to Utah in the Pac-12. I don't know why. I don't know what I was saying, but anyways, um, yeah, 2-1 in the non-conference, 6-3 in the Pac-12, with the losses being at let's see, yeah, at UCLA, at Utah, and at Washington are the 3 games I think you lose in the Pac-12. This team I think is gonna be a pretty good team. I think they're gonna be very competitive in every game. I just think with that whole incident, kind of over their head. And I don't know if they're better than USC and Utah. I have them in third place, 8-4, 6-3 in the Pac-12. I think they have a shot at 9 wins though. Fourth place, UCLA. I do think Chip Kelly gets to a bowl game this year. At 6-6, 4-5 in the Pac-12, 2-1 in the non-conference. I do think you lose that LSU game at home there in week 1. You actually have a week 0 game against Hawaii, um, which I do think you guys win. But I don't. I'll say right now we're doing our picks next week. The spread right now is UCLA is a 17-point favorite. There is no way in hell I think UCLA covers that spread. You go ahead, you look at the Pac-12 schedule. They do have potential to pull off some upsets. I look at Arizona State at home, which I think they'll be a slight dog in. I think you guys win that one. Oregon at home, I think you give them your best shot, but I think you come up a bit short like you did last season. I mean at UCL, I mean at Southern Cal, at Utah. Those are winnable games, even though they're on the road. The Washington game, I think you guys will be possibly will be a double-digit dog in that, honestly. But I think you guys will find a way to call yourselves into a bowl game, UCLA. I think Chip Kelly finds a way to get this team to a bowl game. I think he has to get to a bowl game. I mean, everybody's saying basically if he doesn't make a bowl game, I mean, what do you do if you're UCLA? You went out and made a splash hire after you fired Jim Moore after 2017, and you haven't made a bowl game since. I mean, you look at the records: 3-9, 4-8, 3-4 last year. I mean, they were in a bunch of they were in every game they lost last year. I mean, every game they lost last year was a one possession game, so it wasn't like that team was like a bad 3-4 team. That team was definitely a little bit better than what that record was last year. So I guess you give Chip Kelly credit for that, not playing a non-conference schedule. But overall, I think he'll claw his way to a bowl game, 6-6, 4-5 in the Pac-12. Fifth place in the Pac-12 South, Colorado. You look at Colorado. Surprise year last year, going 4-2. The only 2 losses being against Utah at home, and then they got blown out in the Alamo Bowl. But they surprised some people. I mean, granted, the 4 teams they played. I mean, UCLA, as I said, I think they were better than what the record was last year, but they did beat UCLA. Give them credit for that. At Stanford, a 4-2 team last year. You go ahead, you look at San Diego State, a Mountain West team. They're usually one of the better Mountain West teams, though. And at Arizona, a team that we'll talk about here in a second. But Caldwell, definitely a surprise last year. Unfortunately, I think it was a fluke. I don't think Colorado is going to have the same success as they did last season. I have them winning the same amount of games they did last season. 4. I think they go 4-8, 2-7 in the Pac-12. I do think they beat Arizona, and I think they what's the other Pac? Oh yeah, I have it right here. I think they beat Arizona and Oregon State at home as 2 Pac-12 wins. 2-1 in the non-conference. I do think they go ahead and pick off Minnesota. I just have a gut feeling that week 3 non-conference game. This non-conference schedule is kind of tough. Northern Colorado, you're beat, but Texas A&M, I think you do lose that game by double digits. And then Minnesota, I do think you find a way to beat Minnesota. I just have a gut feeling about that one. You find a way to beat Minnesota, but I think at the end of the day, I think as I said, they bring back 16 starters, yes, but 8 on each side. But I just I just think last year was a fluke. I really do. If you didn't watch Pac-12 football last year, which I'm going to admit it was kind of tough to watch Pac-12 football last year, COVID really affected that league a lot. I don't think it's going to affect it as much this year. Matter of fact, I don't think it's really going to affect it this year. Um, so I just think I just think last year was a fluke, and I think go 4-8, 2-7 in the Pac-12, and then last place Arizona. I do have Arizona going 1-11, 0-9 in the Pac-12. I think Arizona is by far the worst team in the Pac-12, and it's not even close. They bring back 17 starters, 8 offensively, 9 defensively. They went 0-5 last year, including a 70-7 loss to your in-state rival. I think you might see a few of those this year for Arizona. Honestly, I really don't think this team. To be honest with you, I gave you all one win against Northern Arizona. Um, you guys might struggle to win that one. Honestly, I don't think this is gonna be a good year at all for Arizona. I really don't. I do think, however, this team. I mean, maybe you find a way. Maybe BYU's dropped off so much. Maybe you find a way to beat BYU week 1. Maybe you find a way to beat San Diego State, go 3-0 in the non-conference. But at best, I'm looking at the schedule. I mean, maybe you find a way to pick off UCLA coming off the bye. Maybe you could shock maybe a Colorado on the road or a Washington State on the road. Maybe you're surprised we beat Cal. So, I mean, there are opportunities for Arizona to maybe get to 4 or 5 wins, in my opinion. But there's no way this team's making a bowl game, in my opinion. I'll be stunned if they make a bowl game. And I'm just going to be honest with you. I think outside maybe Kansas, they might be the worst team in Power 5 football. So, we'll see what happens. I'm going 1-11, 0-9 in the conference. They bring in a new head coach in Jed Fish. They did go out and get the defensive coordinator from Michigan who kind of got let go. As far as I'm just gonna tell you right now, expect him being some semi-retirement down there at Arizona. Because in my opinion, that's what's gonna happen. But anyways, 1-11, 0-9 in the Pac-12 there. Don Brown, that's his name, the defensive coordinator from Michigan. That's now the Arizona defensive coordinator. And I don't even know who the hell Jeff Fish is. He came from the Rams. I have never heard of his name before. So good luck, Arizona. Pac-12 championship game is Washington versus Washington versus USC. I almost said UCLA, but Washington versus Southern Cal as your Pac-12 championship game. I think this has potential maybe be a top 15 matchup. I do think Southern Cal wins at the end. I think Southern Cal wins the Pac-12. I don't know if Southern Cal is the best team in the Pac-12 per se at the end of the season, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that they win the Pac-12. I mean, I'm high on Washington. I'm high on Utah. I think Southern Cal is gonna be right there at the end. I'm not as high on Oregon. Arizona State, I was high on them until the whole scandal, and even then, I still think they're gonna be in and out top 25 polls. But then after that, it kind of drops off. I mean, you go ahead and look at after 1 through 5. I think 6 through 11 could be any of those teams not named Arizona in the order. Though I mean, as you can see, I only have 6 teams out of the Pac-12 making a bowl game. So I do think this league is actually a little bit top heavy, even though you do have 2 5-7s and a 4-8. But overall, uh, I think 1 through 5 is pretty set in stone. Who 1 through 5 in the Pac-12 is going to be, and then it's just going to be a free fall after that. But the Pac-12, in my opinion, I hope it comes back to at least being a pretty respectable football conference. I know people kind of poop it. I mean, it looks like they're going to get Texas Tech and Oklahoma State at least. I think they're going to try to go for Kansas State and maybe try at a Boise State or BYU. I know that might not happen, but I do think they will at least go out and get Texas Tech and Oklahoma State. Try to at least get into the Texas market and Oklahoma market, I guess, and try to get more recruits out of the state of Texas. But the Pac-12 at all, I think it's going to be a little bit more respectable this year at the end of the day, because I think they're going to have some teams, at least 1 through 5, that are going to be people are going to sit there and say they were top 25 teams. Or at least 1 through 4 is top 25, and Arizona State's like just outside looking in. But that's my Pac-12 football predictions. I have USC winning the Pac-12 this year. Comment down below. Tell me what you think about the Pac-12. I always like hearing from you all. Thanks for watching. McD the Beast signing off.